Hello y'all, this is your Unit 6 note card. If I am remembering correctly, this note card is going to be pink. Put your name on here, put your hour on here, because everybody's is going to look the same. Okay, so we had to condense a lot of stuff on this note card. So 6.1 and 6.3, we do not have examples of by themselves, because you're going to do them down here in 6.4 when we graph it all together. So 6.1, axis of symmetry, we do negative b over 2a, and then we plug that in to find our y value. 6.3, we factor to find two numbers that multiply to c and add to b, and then we set each factor equal to 0, and we solve. So we're going to go ahead and do our 6.4 problem. We'll come back to 6.2 in a second. So down here, I have 6.4. We'll do that all together. So my a value is 1. My b value is negative 6. My c value is 5. So for my axis of symmetry, I'm doing negative b over 2a. So negative b over 2a. Negative b would be negative 6. So that's going to be positive 6 over 2 times 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that gives me an axis of symmetry of 3. Okay, then find my vertex. My x value is 3. I already know that. I'm going to be plugging in that 3 for x. So it's going to be 1 times 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 5. 3 squared is 9. 1 times 9 is 9. Minus 18 plus 5. 9 minus 18 is negative 9. Negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4. So I get a point at 3, negative 4. Okay, so that is 6.1, is finding our axis of symmetry and vertex. 6.2, we factored. So in this problem, we are looking for two numbers that multiply together to be 5 and add together to be negative 6. So if I want to go ahead and write that down, multiply to 5, add to negative 6. So numbers that multiply to 5 are just 1 and 5. So I know those are going to be my two numbers. How I make them multiply to be a positive still and add to be a negative is I make them both negative. So x minus 1 and x minus 5. Then, to find my zeros, I would set each of those equal to 0. So if x minus 1 equals 0, I would add 1 to both sides. My 0 would be 1. If x minus 5 equals 0, I would add 5 to both sides. X would equal positive 5. So my zeros on this problem are 1 and 5. And I can go ahead and graph those. So that's step 2, factoring like we did in 6.3. Step 3 is to find our y-intercept. To find your y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x. So that's going to be 0 squared, which is 0, minus 6 times 0, which is 0, plus 5. So 0 minus 0 plus 5 is just 5. Your y-intercept in standard form will always be c. So my y-intercept is 5. And then my last step, now that I've found my y-intercept to getting this all graphed, is to mirror that y-intercept and graph everything else, but I've already done that as I went. So since that y-intercept is 3 to the left of my axis of symmetry, I can go 3 to the right of my axis of symmetry and put a point there. All right, go ahead and connect those all into a nice little U. There we go. Fix that error. All right, so that's 6.1, 6.2, 6.1, 6.3, and 6.4 kind of all come together with 6.4 because that's all of our steps to graphing a quadratic. Now let's go talk about 6.2 real quick, and then we'll flip to the back side of this. So 6.2, finding zeros using the square root method. We use this method when the value of b is 0, and there are only two terms. So if you look at this problem here, negative 2x squared plus 98, there's no something with just an x term in the middle. So first step is to replace that f of x equals with an equals 0. And then we're going to solve for x squared. So I'm going to subtract 98. Negative 2x squared equals 0 minus 98 is negative 98. Divide by negative 2. X squared equals negative 98 divided by negative 2 is positive 49. And then my last step here is going to be to take the square root of both sides. Square root of both sides. Square root of 49 is 7 and negative 7. So my zeros are going to be x equals 7 and x equals -7. So you could write both of your zeros out like that, or you could write x equals plus or minus 7 if you want to write less. Okay, so that's the front side of the note card. Let's look at the back. So on the back side of the note card, we again have some stuff combined together. So 6.6 and 6.8 is two ways to do the same thing. So we'll come back and we'll do, or actually let's just do it now. Nope, let's do discriminant first because discriminant goes before 6.6. Sorry. So discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. We don't have an example of just the discriminant because you do the discriminant within the quadratic formula, and we are really struggling for space on this note card. Then, if your discriminant or if you have no solutions, your discriminant is less than 0. If you have one solution, your discriminant is equal to 0, and if you have two solutions, your discriminant is greater than 0. So I think there's two problems on your test where you have to find just the discriminant, so you'll just do the b squared minus 4ac. Now, let's slide back to the left and do 6.6. And within 6.6, we'll find our discriminant. So, quadratic formula we've got there. We are going to plug in our a value, our b value, and our c value. So, this will be x equals negative b, so that'll be negative 16, which will be positive 16, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that would be negative 16 squared, minus 4 times our a value is 4, and our c value is 7, all over 2a, so that'll be 2 times 4. Okay. Our next step is going to be to do that negative 16 squared minus 4 times 7, so to find the value of that discriminant. So that would be, let's see if I remember it, negative 16 squared minus 4 times 7 is 144. So 16 plus or minus the square root of 144. And then on the bottom here, 2 times 4 is 8. Square root of 144 is 12. So it's going to be 16 plus or minus 12 over 8. And then we would be able to split these up and do our plus version and our minus version. So we'll do 16 plus 12 over 8, 16 plus 12 over 8, and we will also do 16 minus 12 over 8. 16 plus 12 is 28. 28 over 8, we can divide both those by 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Actually, I wrote 4. So 7 halves is one of our zeros. 16 minus 12 is 4, so we've got 4 over 8. 4 eighths is the same as 1 half. So 4 is half of 8, so we just reduce that. We could think about dividing them both by 4 as well. So we got both of our answers by the quadratic formula. Okay, the other way that we could have found these zeros was by factoring. So by factoring, we want to use our big X, our magic X. We want to find two numbers that multiply to AC. So in this problem, that would be multiplying to 4 times 7. So I don't know what I just did. Where did that dotted line come from? So multiply to 4 times 7, which is 28, and add together to be negative 16. Numbers that multiply to 28 and add to negative 16 are negative 2 and negative 14. So then we'll take our problem, we'll split up our middle term. So instead of 4x squared minus 16x, we'll have 4x squared minus 2x minus 14x plus 7. And then factoring that by grouping, out of the first two terms, we can pull out a 2x. 4x squared divided by 2x is 2x. Negative 2x divided by 2x is negative 1. Out of negative 14x plus 7, I need to pull out a negative, and I can divide those both by 7. Negative 14x divided by negative 7 is 2x. 7 divided by negative 7 is negative 1. And then my factored form would be 2x minus 1 and 2x minus 7. Once I get factored, I would need to set each of those equal to 0. So 2x minus 1 equals 0. Add 1 to both sides, we would get 2x equals 1. Divide both sides by 2, we would get x equals 1 half. If I set 2x minus 7 equals to 0, I would add 7 to both sides, get 2x equals 7. And I would divide both sides by 2, I would get x equals 7 halves. So, two ways to do the same problem we would get 1/2 and 7/2 both ways. For your test, I believe there is a couple problems where you have to use quadratic formula, and then on the 6.9 problem, you can choose which one you use. So make sure you know how to use the quadratic formula, is the moral of the story. And then you can use this factoring method if you choose to on 6.9. All right. Right here, we just have our 6.9. We just tell you it's the same as 6.4. You just got to use 6.6 or 6.8 to find your zeros instead of using 6.3 to find your zeros. Okay, very last thing on here is vertex form. Vertex form was this completely other form of a quadratic, so it's its completely own thing. Our vertex is that h comma k. We open up if a is positive, we open down if a is negative, and then we plug in 0 to find our y-intercept. So this one, our a value here is negative, so we open down. Our vertex is this h value and this k value, but h is always the opposite, so it's -1 and +2. So -1, +2. And then to find our y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for x, so -4 times 0 plus 1 squared plus 2. 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 squared is 1, -4 times 1 is -4, -4 plus 2 is -2. That was a lot of words I just said. So I should graph our axis of symmetry. I should have done that already. So our y-intercept's -2. Since that's 1 to the right of our axis of symmetry, we can reflect that 1 to the left. And then now that opens down, which is what we want. Okay, that is it for this note card. I am going to double check what I said. So if you want to keep listening to this video, it's going to take me a second to pull up the document of the test, but I don't want to lie to you. So if you take the time to watch this video or to keep listening to this video, I will tell you on the test what you have to do for 6.8 and 6.9. Unit 6 test version A. Okay. I've got it pulled up on my phone because I can't pull it up on my iPad because I don't want to show you the test. So on the test, there are problems from 6.1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So you do need to use the quadratic formula. So there are 2 problems where you have to use the quadratic formula. So make that your first priority, knowing the quadratic formula over knowing how to do the factoring like we did in 6.8. For the problem, there's one problem from 6.9. For that problem, you can either use the quadratic formula or you can factor like we did in 6.8. And then I'm looking through the multiple choice. Yeah, so at no point on the test you have to use 6.8. You can choose to use it for 6.9, but you don't have to. So if you are deciding what to spend time focusing on, 6.6 is the answer. The quadratic formula and everything else this unit is the answer. 6.8 is an important thing to know how to do. It's something you're going to use in Algebra 2 a lot. It's something that we're asked to teach you and we have teach you and we expect for you to know. But it will not negatively impact your test score if you don't know how to do that, as long as you do know how to do 6.6. Okay, that's all. Bye.